Hi, and welcome to our channel, Pay Down Debt Solutions. I'm Jen, and today I want to go over with you guys taking control of your life and your finances and getting yourself in the position of financial freedom finally for this year. It's early yet, you guys. It's 2025. It is time to do this no matter what the excuse is. And today we're going to talk about one excuse that we hear over and over and over again. And it's not so much an excuse, but it's a what do I do if, right? So, what do you do if you are paid inconsistently? Okay. And so, I'm going to go over a scenario with you guys of students of ours who are real estate agents and they're paid very inconsistently. And so, what they were doing is they were trying to, get some savings together as quickly as possible, only to have it depleted every single time. And then they were going backwards. Okay. So they ended up in a bunch of debt. And so now they're trying to get out of debt, but they needed a plan and they needed a way to get out. And so when they found our channel, they weren't really sure if this was going to help them or not. But lo and behold, they were quite surprised because this was the best solution they could have found. So I will erase the board and show that to you in just a minute. But I want to go over the ways that even if you're paid inconsistently, why velocity banking will work for you. Okay. Now we all know, or those of you that have been following, know that the way to win is money in, right? Income into a line of credit and expenses out. So we win with velocity banking when we take the bulk of our income and we put it into a line of credit, such as a credit card, a personal loan, a personal line, or a business loan, or I'm sorry, a business line, not a loan, a line. So when we put our income into any line of credit, okay, and we overpay, right? We put in a large amounts of that income, it drops our average daily balance because we know that lines of credit are figured on an average daily balance. And it is this feature of the line of credit that allows velocity banking to work, and it allows you to win over traditional banking. So let's illustrate that today. Let me show you. Probably going to be a short video, but I want to make some really good sense for you. So for all of you out there that are paid inconsistently, either your paycheck, it varies greatly from month to month, such as these guys did. Okay. And as you can see here, these are their paychecks over a 12-month period of time, and they vary quite a bit. So it makes it really difficult to budget now, doesn't it? And that's why they would find themselves strapped, because they were trying to scramble and save money during the times when they had more cash. And then they would just deplete that cash because they had bills to pay, and then they had nothing to begin again with in the next month. And so we are going to teach you a different way, and that way is through velocity banking. So what if your income is inconsistent? So what, right? So what if it is? That's what I say. When you put your money in the right place, okay, such as a line of credit, you then have a place you can go for money when you need it, all right? One of the greatest features of a line of credit is if you find yourself strapped, okay, and let's say you lose a job, all right, and you have a line of credit, like a home equity line of credit or a personal line of credit that you can draw from. You can take money from that personal line of credit, put it into your checking account, and then make payments back to that line of credit until you find yourself in cash or with a new job or whatever the case may be. It seems like you shouldn't be able to do that, doesn't it? But that is absolutely something you can do with these lines of credit. And that is how these students here are going to win, okay? So again, if you find yourself in a position where maybe you lose your job or somebody's sick and can't work, okay, and so you now have no way to pay your bills, what are you going to do? Well, if you have a line of credit, you have a place to go. So you can take those monthly expenses out of that line of credit, put it in your checking account, and then make the minimum payment back to that line of credit and pay your bills. And that is something that is an excellent feature of a line of credit. Now, can you do that with a mortgage? Absolutely, you cannot. Can you do that with your auto loan? If you put money in, can you take it out? Absolutely, you cannot. If you put money into a credit card, can you take money out? Yeah, you can. You can do it through a cash advance, can't you? There are ways with lines of credit. Now, ideally, it would be a line of credit such as a home equity line for these guys or a personal line, but you can do it through credit cards as well. So let's go over how this works, okay? So if your income is inconsistent, it makes no difference. When you have income that is not predictable, it makes an even greater case for velocity banking, okay? So you need a way to pay all of your bills if your payment is inconsistent or you work on a contract of some sort, right? So when that contract ends, if you don't have another one lined up, you have to have a way to survive and a way to pay your bills. So that's what these lines of credit do for you. So a line of credit allows you to pay your bills, providing a stable financial stream, okay? You don't need to worry about if your income will cover your month or where the funds will come from when you have a line of credit. So a line of credit gives you room to breathe. And I think that is my most favorite feature about the lines of credit. You guys can breathe, and especially when you're running them through the velocity banking way, through the pay down method. Traditional banking has you guys strapped, it has you payment poor. How do I know? Because Dan and I were, right? We were payment poor just the same until we learned a different way. And that different way was velocity banking. Okay, so I need a savings account as a cushion for my lean months. Do you? I know that there are other financial gurus out there. You all know probably the most famous one out there who says that you need a cushion of savings, right? And it's part of the baby steps. And part of the baby steps is to have a cushion in your savings account. But what good is that savings account doing for you, earning 0.123%, right? It's not even earning 0.1% in most cases. So if it's not doing you any good, why are you doing it? Why are you putting money in a savings account to sit there when it can be going to work for you and working down high interest rate credit cards, loans, some lines of credit, whatever? That is where I propose you guys are putting your savings instead of having it sit there earning you nothing, okay? So you don't need a cushion if you have a line of credit, because that line of credit is your cushion, okay? That is your cushion. So that again is false. You put that low yielding savings to work for you to destroy your debts. Destroy them with those savings accounts, okay? Now, in this scenario that I want to talk to you guys about today, this is pretty common, okay? So this is common, and workers out there such as like real estate agents such as these guys, or even a lot of times, contractors will go through this where they have lean months and they don't have income coming in. So it's feast or famine all the time for these guys. All right. So let's go over this student scenario here for you where we have these real estate agents, a husband and wife team that work together, and they have great months and they have lean months. Okay. Now, that doesn't work really well for you sometimes, right? When you have bills and those bills are consistent. So what do you do in a situation like that? Well, what these guys were doing was that they were trying to stockpile money in a savings account so they had money to pull from to help pay their expenses and to help pay these debts that they had. But they kept finding that they would go into that credit card, right? They kept going to the credit cards to try to help, satisfy those leaner months. And so it wasn't working out very well. And they wanted to know if there was a different way, came across the channel and contacted us. And so we did just that. We found a different way. So as you can see here, their monthly income, okay, and this is an example of 2023 to 2024. So we're taking January actually to January, okay? And so we took a look at all of their bills. Again, like the video that I did the other day for you guys, what we do and how we approach things. Remember, number one, we're going to organize for you. We're going to organize all of your debts and all of your income. So we need that organization to be complete and accurate, okay? Number two, we are then going to look at and identify, right? We're going to identify that debt weapon, that debt destroyer, and we're going to identify the plan we're using to work things down. And then the third step is always the implementation step where we're implementing what we have just figured out our plan is going to be. So here is what their income is, okay? Their combined incomes. So if we look at this, January, February, we've got March, here's April. May, June, July, we've got August, September, October, November, December, okay? So here they have 12 months worth of their income. And as you can see, January and February are pretty lean for real estate agents, right? So they're pretty lean here. And then they start to get back in cash, right, towards the spring and the summer. And then again, as they come into fall and winter, it gets leaner again. And that's pretty typical. So other people that, find this to be true, again, like I said, would be, would be your builders, right? Your contract workers of some sort. All right. So if we take a look at this then, right, we're going to have to average. That is the only way you can really do this and, figure it out. We work on an average, but we do work exactly with these payments here, right? So their income. So when we average it, we know that that the total amount that they made between 2023 and 2024 was 111,400. And then we divide that by 12 months, and that's going to give us $9,283 a month. Okay. So that is their income. So if we take a look at, the traditional way that we work these out when you have a known income, we're going to place it at 9283 as their income. Okay. And then their total expenses is 8,060. Okay. So look at their debts. So here's what they have. They, luckily for them, should have cash flow. Okay. Now we know there's months they don't. And that's where a line of credit is so important. And believe it or not, these guys already had it. They just didn't know how to use it. All right. So here we have a mortgage of $402,156. The payment on that is $2,411 at 6%. Okay. And I didn't list this here for you because we're not working with it right now. It's astronomical though. It is not cheap. Okay. So if they let that term out over the 30 years, it's not cheap. Now, we have their first vehicle and second vehicle. Number one is $35,879, and it's at a $680 payment at 5.2%. Car number two is $46,770, and that is an $877 a month payment. So if you add these up, right, if we're adding up the mortgage here and both cars, we're looking at $484,805. And then their monthly payments, their obligations here are $3,968, okay, just in cars and mortgage alone. Now, when we come down here and we take a look at their other debts, right, we have a home equity line of credit, which is what they had that we will use. They had an American Express, and they also have a Home Depot card. That's really it for their expenses, but it's costing them some money here, right? And their cars, let's not lie about that, right? Their cars are pretty expensive too. So their home equity line of credit is $52,680 at 482, and it is at 11%. Okay, so that home equity is at 11%. The American Express card is for $12,561. It's $366 a month, and it's at 23%. We've got a Home Depot card, and that is for $8,060. It's at 242%. Now, these two cards here are going to take about 5 years to pay them back. Okay, that's the 1% plus the interest. This home equity line of credit is on interest only. Now, if it's on interest only, this payback amount would be $396,321. Basically, what that's saying is it would take 22 years for them to pay interest only and pay this back, right? Which is not what they're going to do, and that isn't what they were doing. However, they were banking traditionally. And so if we look at American Express, the payback on that at 5 years is $8,095 for a $12,000 line of credit. Think about that. And then we've got Home Depot, $242. Again, this was about 5 years. Paying that back at that payment is going to cost them $5,354. All right. So with the home equity included, we're looking at $24,258 in debt payments. Okay, in debts, right, that they would owe. Interest payments that they would owe. And then that's without the home equity line. And with the home equity line, if you're going to include this, we're looking at $420,579. And that isn't even including their mortgage, right? So we all know the mortgage is one of the last things that we want to tackle, and we want to get that tackled because you guys are going to pay this faster using Velocity Banking. So what does this look like, and how does this how is this applied, right? So, and I want to show you, I'm going to work this out in the board in just a second here. I'm going to stop this and then record that for you. But remember, it's going to go up and down, right? Because we know that these amounts that they're bringing in vary, okay? So this is the only time it's okay to see your number go up versus consistently go down, okay? And I'm about to show you that in 1 minute so that you guys can see how you would handle this. And again, this is an incredible way to do it. So give me just a second, and I'm going to have that up on the board for you. Numbers are on the board. Now remember, They have their monthly income listed here, okay, from 2023 to 2024, all right? And we had to take an average, knowing that the average income was 9283, their total expenses are 8060, all right? Our average, okay, again, was 111,400 divided by 12, which gave us the 9283. But we have to run this with each income every month, all right? If they didn't have a line of credit, they would have nowhere to go without having a savings. And once that's depleted, then what do? Okay. They ran it velocity banking. When running at velocity banking, this is our outcome. Now, as you can see, we start out with 109,180. So where am I getting this? We decided the loans that would fit in safely, because remember, their total HELOC limit is 126. Okay. We don't want to take them to the top because they do have some unknowns. So I want to give them a cushion. And that's what I did. I left them with a cushion. So here we are. We have now our home equity line of credit 126, right? So we decided to take care of this car loan, this home equity line of credit, okay, which is already in there, the American Express, and the Home Depot card. All of these together, okay, gives them back even more cash flow. So what is that? Let's see. So their cash flow then that they give back to them simply by doing this is going to be, okay, so we take 680, we add 482, we add 366, and we add 242. So they're getting back $1,770 to use as cash flow added to the cash flow that they already have. So this is what happens. So we take our total amount that this adds up to, right? Adding these loans in. So 109, 180. Their first months of income, okay, comes in and drops their balance to 104, 560. Remember, we're adding the high balance plus the low balance, dividing it by 2 to get our average, okay? And then we take that number and we multiply it by 0.11 because it was 11%. And then we take that and divide it by 12 because we don't want the entire year of interest. We only want 1 month. So that gives us our first month's interest of $979. Now, remember, they have another lean month here. So we have 111,829 is what it comes up to by adding back in the income and the interest. Okay, so 111,829. Now, our next month of interest of 3,980 comes in, right? Drops our balance to 107,849. Then we have our expenses of 6,290. Now, where do our expenses come from? Remember, our total expenses minus 680, minus 482, minus 366, minus 242 gives us this consistent amount for expenses, okay? All right, so now here we are month 2, 107,849. Our expenses come in, our interest comes in, and we are left with 115,145. So then we have our month 3. Okay, so month 3 over here is 559.60. Okay, it's still not matching up to our expenses, right? So we're still going the opposite way. Remember, this is the opposite of what we want to be doing right now, but we don't have any options at this point other than the fact that we have a line of credit that we're using and pulling from. All right, so now we have the 5,960 come in. We have our expenses come out, we have our interest come out, and now that brings us to 116,503. That's definitely higher than the 109 we started out with, but alas, it is okay because now we have some good months coming in, right? So this one is a little bit better where they have 6690 is the income. That drops their balance to 109,513. Again, dropping that balance drops that interest, which lowers the average daily balance. And then I missed a month here, so I had to squeeze it in. So we had the 109,513 plus our expenses plus our interest. Now we're at 116,838, okay? So 116,838, still a little bit more than that because remember, this income didn't quite take care of these expenses here, all right? But here's where the good months come in. Now you can see where we have our 12,692 drops our balance to 104. Expenses come back in, interest comes back in. We're back up to 111,448. Better month again, 18,996. Drops our balance to 92,452. Expenses, interest. Now we're at 99,676. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere, as you can see. Then we have a great month. 21,212 drops us to 78,464. Expenses, interest. Now we're at 85,570. We've got our expenses, our income comes out again, which is the 92.51, drops us to 76,319. And then we start with 76,319, and our expenses and our interest come in. We're at 83,350. Another great month, 11,981, takes us to 71,369, right? Look at this, you guys, okay? With their expenses and interest, we're at 78,368. We're still below this, right? So now we have 6,977. And so we're at 71,391. This is month 10. Now we have our expenses. Now we have our interest. And here's where the leaner months start again, right? Because winter is when they have leaner months. Now, we did all this, right? And we dropped in 11 months. They reduced their home equity line of credit by $36,193. Even with inconsistent income. That is why this is powerful, okay? So that means they spent $7,911 in interest. But how long is it going to take them to finish this? And when we worked it out, projected. Now, again, we had to project because we know that they average about 111, okay? And so if we take a 3-year average of their taxes, they actually averaged 110.9. So that's a pretty good approximation. So this is pretty consistent for them, okay? So that means that they have dropped the interest that they pay. They spent $7,911 in interest, and in 3 years this is going to be paid off, okay? So they will have then paid about $16,128 in interest. And even if it's a little bit more than that in interest, it's not going to be more than this, more than likely, unless they were really bad at selling homes, right? But that isn't the case, okay? So they're always going to win. Now, this is without the home equity line of credit. This is with the home equity line of credit. That is why velocity banking is so powerful. And when you have inconsistent income, there is no better way to handle your finances than with velocity banking through a line of credit. Hope you guys learned something today. I hope you like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.